I'm Sarah Ostaszewski. I'm currently living in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I'm running Grand to Grand in 2024. I'm really looking forward to something different, new challenge. Yeah, it looks like an epic event, so excited to hop on board.
Yeah, you've definitely had like a string of, I don't know, long races. You've done really well with these long races. So do you want to kind of talk about that? Like you did Cocodona, you've done a bunch of hundreds and stuff. So yeah, what's kind of your background?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of actually have had a pretty steady progression in increasing distance. I started with a 60K. My sister and I actually did our first ultra. It was like central southern Indiana, a 60K, Potato Creek. The race doesn't happen anymore, but yeah, we hopped into that because someone in our hometown thought we'd think it's a cool event. So we had heard about I had heard about ultras before that, and it was kind of a goal to jump into that scene. But at the time, like in 2014, 15 in Indiana, like everything, it was word of mouth. Like I didn't have really any sources to be looking up all these tips or races or anything like that, or really anyone in the community. Again, it was like a woman in our hometown who suggested this 60K. So that kind of started everything. Yeah, from there, I immediately after that race pretty much moved to Portland, Oregon, and really got into the scene because it is a running mecca. There's a great trail running community and a lot of good events out there in the Pacific Northwest. So yeah, I went from 60K to I think a 50 miler that fall, and then 100K, and then kind of just kept doing races and things that were of interest to me or things that people recommended. Yeah, and did as much as possible. I like to race a lot and have a hard time not doing something if someone suggests it. So yeah, eventually got into like 100s and 24-hour races just out of curiosity. I think, triple digit distance is pretty cool. Yeah, just to see what you can do in a certain time frame, or can you cover that many miles in one go. It's always been just really intriguing. So yeah, steady progression, I would say. I've done Cocodona 250 3 times now, which yeah, I got to branch out and try a different 200, I think. But same thing. When Aerovipa announced that race, I was just like, this sounds like something totally new, kind of out of my comfort zone for sure. And I was interested in a multi-day thing, so I signed up without thinking too much about it that first year in 2021, and had bigger goals for the next two years of racing that. But yeah, I think I've learned a lot, and I think now, that's a supported event. It's a lot of miles, it's a lot of hours out there, but it's supported, and you have aid stations every so often. I think for Cocodona, the aid stations actually aren't that far apart. I was out at Moab 240 this fall, and the aid stations, like crew spots, are very far apart. So yeah, different challenges within supported events like that. But yeah, I think I'm just looking for the next challenge, and I think Grand to Grand kind of offers that. It's a different, I think, for the terrain, different skill set a bit, maybe different strategy. And if you go unsupported, you're carrying everything. Like you don't have crew out there to help you. You don't have cozy cots in an aid station to help you. You have to bring a sleeping bag and sleeping pads. So yeah, I think it's going to be a big challenge. I think I'll have to dig into a lot of things and talk with some good friends and resources to kind of figure out, what that pack looks like for the week. But yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be way different than something like Cocodona.
Yeah, it was fun to be at Moab 240 a few weeks ago with Jeff Peltier, because here in Grand to Grand, like that's where we actually met, like I think 6 or 7 years ago. And just the differences in the races, because like he did well at Grand to Grand, and then Moab obviously he did well also, but like they're just so different. Where like one, you're just you run at the light pack, the other one you're carrying everything for the week. And like I don't remember how much weight he lost at Grand to Grand, but it was a considerable amount because he structured his calories based off of whatever, and then he's like, man, I lost like a lot of weight. And he's not like a big dude;
Wow.
he's pretty thin as well. But then at Moab, he just ate and ate and ate and ate and ate the whole time, where he eventually was just like, I'm so sick of eating. This is an eating race, and I'm just like so burned out on eating food. But obviously, you're hungry, you need to eat. And so this is kind of funny, like the differences between a race that is a similar distance, but how it's structured can dramatically change how you race and like obviously how you pack for it.
Yeah, that's wild. I think that'll be my biggest, I don't want to say concern, but I think I'll need to look into what kind of food I'm bringing, and yeah, just enough food for a week to actually feel good to run the way I want for, every stage. I did Trans Rockies this summer too, and I think that was to me it was like very manageable, the distance and everything each day, but for me, like the course, like it was like mentally challenging, that structure where it's like you wake up early, for there you get on the shuttle, you get to the start, do the race, do the distance, take the shuttle back, get your shower before it gets too crowded, go back for dinner. Like it was it's such a structured like routine for the week, and like that is also, I think, challenging. You have to be ready to go every single morning. So yeah, kind of looking forward to that. I think it'll be, Grand to Grand, definitely less support. So it's like, I think it'll be interesting to just see how it feels to be doing that for 7 days, kind of slightly more on your own time, with they're not setting up tents for you, you're bringing all your own stuff. So yeah, definitely different type of mental challenge on top of the physical challenge and like gear, knowing what to bring and how much food to bring.
Yeah, the food part's always an interesting aspect because some people will just bring way too much food or not bring enough, and you got to kind of find that balance. And yesterday or the other day, I did a podcast with Trevor Davenport, who ran this year, and he brought up how they brought way too much food. Then at certain points in the race, they were just trying to give it away because they're like, I don't want to carry these extra pounds of food with me every day. Because like once you're halfway through, you kind of know like how much you're going to eat. And people were just giving stuff away because they couldn't eat it, and then it was just too much weight to carry. So it's a fun game, I guess, the packing and the logistics of this sort of race.
Yeah, it's exciting that the packing, or like the pack, gets lighter as you go on. So in a way, it's like, okay, you can look forward to that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like the more you eat, the lighter your pack gets.
Yeah, right. So the last day you can maybe have hardly anything in your pack and just make it through.
Yeah, just run the last 10K like fasted or something on water.
Right. Fast and light.
Yeah. So this is kind of like not off topic, but why do you think it's important to do things that challenge you? Because you and your sister, I guess for people that don't know that are listening, your twin sister, Melissa, you guys have done various races over the years. Everyone knows about you here in Arizona because you guys do race a lot, which is fun. But like that progression of like a 60K, like from like a very like standard quote unquote ultra to all the way up to Cocodona to running like Javelina, run all these like longer events. And now you're doing something that's just completely different where just like the planning is so important. Like I'm not saying that it's not important at Cocodona, but like the fact that you only have what you pack for the week. Like why is that important, or why is that interesting to you to do something that's not just another 200 or just another 100?
Yeah, for me, I think I like to try different things. It's not like, I don't feel like I've figured out 100s, or I think I was lucky with Cocodona, but it took me 3 years to kind of figure it out and run it the way I wanted to run it. So yeah, it's always like, what's going to be the new challenge? I don't feel like I have to, like some people I think like to, I don't want to say specialize, but they like to do one thing maybe and keep like getting better and better to get their full potential there. And I like that too, but I also like to like mix it up and try different things. So it's not like I'm done with these more standard distances or races or whatever, but this type of stage race I think presents a lot of new challenges and like opportunity for problem solving. And an entire week of running is really fun. Like I wasn't out there for an entire week during, Cocodona, but I think it's nice to have that opportunity to just, all you have to do is run, essentially. This, I think, like you mentioned, because of the gear and the self-supported aspect, carrying everything you need for the week all in one go, like definitely requires more prep, planning going into the event, which like for me, that'll be new. Like I haven't done a lot of self-supported, fast packing things. So it's a new skill set that I've kind of been looking forward to getting more into, like, even after Trans Rockies or after Cocodona, just thinking about routes and things that I kind of have on the bucket list. So yeah, new skill set that I'm kind of looking forward to learning, and yeah, seeing how it plays out for a week.
I guess thinking of the training and the new skill sets you have to kind of develop for this. Like, I know we're also 11 months out until the race, but have you spoken with your coach about how you want to train for this and figure it out, or you have not told him yet, based off your visual response right now?
Yeah, so we did talk about the 2024 schedule, but Grand to Grand at the time was not on the schedule. So suddenly it's on the schedule. I added it in. I think it actually fits nicely in between some other things I was planning. So to me, like, it's a lot of miles. It's going to be a big challenge, but yeah, I think it does fit nicely. And I think the skill set and the adaptation, I think, coming out of this will be good for what I had planned afterwards. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. My coach also likes to problem solve and keep figuring things out with his athletes. So test some theories and see how things work out in the actual race environment. So yeah, I think it'll be fun to kind of work through not only training, but like the gear aspect for sure, and like being smart about hydration and food and calorie intake and all that. So yeah, looking forward to it. I think he's stoked. Again, I think he likes new things too. I think he's always trying something different to challenge himself in his own racing. So yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem. I think he'll be excited to work up to this.
Yeah, work on that mental plasticity there, right? Like, new challenges are good for your brain.
Yeah, right.
So how do you think your training is going to evolve? Because, like, obviously, like, you can go out and run fast for, say, like, I don't know, Trans Rockies, like you were saying, you ran that earlier this year, and like you're out running all day with the minimal kit. But when you're running with a pack on, and it's obviously just slower, just simply because of the weight you're carrying. So do you think your training is going to change up quite a bit for that, as far as like your actual running pace and mileage, but then also maybe some strength training involved in there?
Yeah, definitely strength training. I think it's just testing out the pack. I was actually looking at some packs this morning that might be good for this. I have some fast packs, but it's like I've used them for day hikes. I haven't done fast packing. My plan for next summer anyway was to do some fast packing, so I think I'll have a lot of opportunities to kind of be training for this, thinking about Grand to Grand, and this year, actually, I did so much, hiking just because of what I was racing. So yeah, don't have the speed right now anyway. I think I'll, depending on what other things I'm racing, like next summer, we'll get that back. But yeah, I don't think it'll be a ton of like new, different things for the way that I'm training. I like hiking. Like I said, I'm looking into some fast packing things for the summer, and I think that'll be a nice build up into Grand to Grand. I think it's, for me, because the pack is going to be so heavy compared to what I wouldn't normally have taken on any kind of run. It's going to be like testing the gear, and yeah, also thinking about just the food. I think I'll really have to look into like, what's the most dense food and like the weight of that, measuring things out. Again, new skill set. I haven't been super dialed with a lot of that stuff for what I've done so far. So yeah, I think like what I had planned for the summer anyway will be a really nice build up to a race like this.
Definitely. The food aspect is interesting, because you see quite a wide variety of things that people bring, and obviously like you kind of just want to eat what you would normally eat for the most part, but also you got to factor in like the weight, like basically like the grams per calories that you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And it's, I guess, being semi-involved like in the through hiking, like fast packing world, it's interesting like what people can do to cut weight and bulk down so it fits in their pack better. But then also there's like this balance of like, you can't just bring like, I don't know, the most calorie dense food, because after a week eating that, you're just like, oh, kill me. This is too much. So you got to have some variety in there as far as like taste and also nutrient density.
Yeah, and I like, again, I mean, you've done long through hikes. I'll have to talk to some more people about this, but yeah, it's like you don't like you like at Trans Rockies, they had everything for you. Like you could look forward to different meal every day. I think that'll be something I just need to accept. Is like for a week, I'm just going to be eating the running snacks, like these snacks that I may, or meals, dehydrated meals maybe that I might not be choosing otherwise. But for a week, I think it's like you can put up with that, and figure it out, and then look forward to whatever the post race meals are going to be.
I guess you could just do Tailwind all week, right? Like
And Tailwind,
all you need
for
all
sure.
week, really, right?
That's exactly right.
No, I don't know. Like personally, I just find the nutritional aspect interesting because it's like, okay, you got to recover every day, so you can't just have like sugar and crap at night. But then eventually, at a certain point, like your mouth is going to just be burned out from just all like the acidity of the sugar and stuff. So you got to think about that as well.
Yeah, and just it's desert running. I was looking at the course a bit. Sand. It's a lot of sand. It's gonna be dry. Like, yeah, it's gonna be wild.
Yeah, I guess thinking about like the high desert, like obviously you live like at what's Flag, like 6,500 feet.
7.
Oh, it's 7. So you're up there. Like that's kind of like where the course maxes out at around 7 to
Mhm.
8,000 feet. But like that dryness and the aridity out there is just it's a different thing when you're in the sun. Like it might only be 70, 80 degrees, but it's gonna like kick your butt just because you're at that altitude.
Yeah, and I learned in Moab. I mean, I've been in Flagstaff for a bit, but yeah, being out at Moab, it is so cold at night, freezing. It was unbelievably cold. Moab goes up to a little higher elevation, but yeah, with those clear skies and like that kind of crisp, dry air, like yeah, it was just freezing. So I think that'll be another challenge, like having the right gear for the temperatures for sure, knowing how to switch layers out if needed during the day. But like you're out there, whatever you brought is what you brought, and there's no extra stuff for when you're freezing cold at night trying to sleep. So yeah, I think that I'll have to do some research into that and make sure I have the right gear. I get cold fast, so if I'm not, after a long run, and you're sitting in camp, like yeah, it'll get chilly. So that's another challenge I'm looking forward to solving.
That is definitely something I always feel bad about when I'm out there at this race because like I'll be either in my tent with my like sleeping bag and cot or in my truck with a nice pad and everything. I'm like, well, I'm sleeping fine. And I also ate thousands of calories today and I'm not running 50 miles a day or something. So it's a very different, like, I don't know, it's a very different thing than just going car camping or just even camping in general because like you're saying, like if you pack the lightest sleeping bag possible, but then you're cold at night, it's like, well, then you're miserable and you're not recovering and you're burning calories, shivering all night. And yeah, it just kind of like is a downward spiral at that point.
Yeah, you lose so much energy when you're cold at night. I've done that. I've been there. It's not good.
Oh man. So I was thinking about the course too, like you're checking it out and like you're not unfamiliar with the area by any means, like living in northern Arizona, but have you done much sand running?
Well, there was actually a race in Oregon. It was a 50K, and it was mostly sand on the coast. At the time, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. Yeah, different type of environment for sure. Oregon coast is not like the desert here. I actually I haven't done a lot on the North Rim, and I've only been to Bryce once. So yeah, it'll be all new. I'm yeah really looking forward to the course. I know there's like really cool sand dunes. It ends at the Grand Staircase. There's like slot canyons, which are really cool and very unique. Yeah, really everything about the course I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, there's a lot of highlights out on the course. Like obviously to connect things, like any race out here in the West, you kind of have to add some dirt roads in, but even the roads are extremely scenic. But then you get to these like super gems like Peekaboo Slot Canyon and the sand dunes in Kanab are just they're insanely pretty and like I don't know, I feel like I'm very or we are both very like lucky to live where we live. But then it's like these people come in from out of the country and it's like, wow, like this is incredible because they are very unique. Like slot canyons are just incredibly unique and cool. And then being able to run through that in a race environment is just fun, especially after camping essentially for a week.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be nice. I know it's like you're kind of running through dark sky locations too, so the camping itself, camping spots it's going to be amazing. And you don't get colors anywhere else like you do in the desert during the different times of day. So yeah, it's going to be a real treat all week.
That is a really fun part of the race. Like I was looking at a dark sky map the other week, and it was interesting like how many dark sky like reserves are just around like the race. And like when you're out there, like even when you're like in the city of Kanab, it's just a little small town, but you can see the stars in the Milky Way just from there. So when you get out more remote, like towards the start at Marble Canyon or Coral Pink, you can just see the Milky Way blasting, and it is incredible. It's so nice to see that.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
Yeah, it's super fun just to camp out into the stars every night. And granted, you're in a tent, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess let's go. I don't know. Let's go over your schedule you had for this year because you've done some kind of big events. Like you won Ouray 100, which is a pretty burly event. Like, so do you want to quickly talk about that for a second?
Yeah, for 2023, started off in New Zealand. Actually, did some racing there. Mountain marathon and a VK, and then went to Cocodona, like a 250-mile race. I did a last person standing in June. What else? Oh, the John Kappa's 50K, which was kind of route finding. I mean, they gave us a route, but a lot of it was like off trail stuff. That was really unique and fun. I'll definitely be back for that next year. And then Ouray, which was really intimidating. That was my big scary goal for the year, and it turned out really well just because of the training that I did out in the San Juans in the summer. So yeah, really happy with how that turned out. What else? Trans Rockies, which was a stage race. Run Rapid Run 100 again to try to go back and improve, but I almost had the same time as 2022, which is interesting. And then I think after that it was just a lot of like fun runs and pacing duties for the past couple months, which lower pressure, but still a lot of running, still a lot of time on feet. And then my last thing will be a road marathon. So I think this year I've actually had the like most diverse kind of like range of race formats and distances, which has been kind of fun to see. Like I said, I don't have the speed right now for a PR in the marathon, but maybe sea level and some fast shoes will help. We'll see. I have like a month until that, and I know my coach is going to add in a little bit of speed work, so we'll see how it goes. Mentally, I think road marathons are challenging. It's hard to get out of that. Like coming from Indiana, that was kind of like where my sister and I started actually road running, and then in that area, everyone's big goal, everyone talks about Chicago Marathon or Boston Marathon. So that's like, the big thing people are typically working towards in that area where we grew up. So that was kind of our background. We ran at the dunes, but it was mostly like road running, and we did do road marathons for a bit. So it's hard to get out of that mindset where it's like, if you're not on pace, your goals are just, you watch them slip away over the course of 26 miles. So the goal this time, I think, is just to actually not care about that and just enjoy the time out there. I think it'll be interesting to be running with thousands of people. This is going to be the biggest race that I've done in a long time, and just in terms of how many people are going to be running. And I'm sure I'll be surrounded by people the entire 26 miles. So it should be interesting. I think this year has been a lot of fun, and I did a lot of climbing, so I feel like I leveled up in a sense for a different type of like slower running, but like a little more skill with like navigating and just like being better on sketchy off trail stuff. So looking forward to more of that in 2024 as well.
It seems like you guys got out quite a bit this summer and just did some like a lot of long days out in the mountains, which was fun to follow along. But it's like, man, some of that stuff, like, it's so tedious. It's fun, but tedious.
And then it's like you get to a cliff and it's like, I'm not sure if this is possible. I think back to some of those runs this summer, and I'm like, if I did that, I can definitely do this thing that I'm in now. So very, very helpful.
Yeah, so I guess considering then like kind of the variety of things that you've ran over the years, like road marathons and then like just single day ultras, like multi-day ultras like Trans Rockies, like how do you think your pacing is going to be for something like this? Because honestly, like I don't have much of an idea of how I would pace myself. I'd be like, oh, well, it's a 50K today, so I want to run it in 4.5 hours. But it's like, you can't do that day in and day out, especially in sand with a pack. So have you thought much about your pacing strategy for a week-long
Not a
event?
ton yet, but I think I think I'm just gonna look at the course and kind of see what the actual like ground is like for each day, and then kind of go from there. Yeah, it's like you can try to run 50K pace every day, and like maybe like that would be possible if you're feeling really good and doing eating the right way, staying hydrated, and getting, you know, a good amount of sleep, restful sleep. Yeah, it's like a combination of all things, I think. And you have same with Trans Rockies, like I knew I needed to stay on top of everything. And same with Cocodona. It's like you need to stay on top of things as much as you can every day so that you can keep showing up for the next day. So yeah, a little bit of that same approach, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to look at like what each stage looks like, and go from there and kind of see, maybe set some time goals and then go off of that. But yeah, again, I'm gonna need to be running with the pack with like the weight that I plan on carrying to see how that actually feels, because the pace is gonna be slower than what I might like to run, say a 50K or 50 mile in a day. So
Yeah, I guess carrying like 10 kilos or whatever on your back is
Mhm.
definitely going to slow you down quite a bit
Mhm.
versus just carrying a couple
As it
bottles.
gets lighter, as the pack gets lighter throughout the week, though, like, you know, maybe, hopefully, if you're feeling good, you can pick up the pace a bit. So we'll see. I don't know if it works like that because you're days into the runs now, but yeah, we'll see. I definitely have to like test the gear and see what the pace is like.
Yeah, I guess thinking about that then, like, do you feel like you're a closer when it comes to events? Like at the end of Cocodona, did you kind of like smell the hay and just go for it, or were you kind of fatigued at that point?
Everyone's tired, but that's what you have to remind yourself if you're in a low. It's like, yeah, everyone's this many miles and this many hours into a race like this. Everyone hurts, everyone's tired, crews are tired at that point. But yeah, I think it helps. Like, I really knew the course well for Cocodona, and once you get to Fort Tuttle, my plan was like to race. Like, I wanted to pick up the pace, and um you know, no time for naps, none of that nonsense when you only have 40 miles to go in a race that long. So yeah, that was definitely the plan. And my favorite part of the course is Eldon, the climb up Eldon to the summit, and then the quick jaunt down Eldon Lookout Road into town. So yeah, I just was really stoked on like that whole last 40 miles or so. I knew I'd have great pacers and everything. So yeah, that was always the plan to like pick it up at the end. So it is interesting to think about like, well, you don't want to I guess you don't want to conserve too much. Like, should you always be running? Like, I wanted to run my best on each section, but it's like knowing that I wanted to like pick it up at a certain point. Like, you got to save a little bit and make sure you're taking care of yourself to feel good when you get to that point so you can actually accomplish that. So yeah, I mean, you just hope things are going well too. Things could go wrong, and you know, maybe that wouldn't have happened at the end of the race. But yeah, if you're kind of staying on your plan and doing things right, yeah, hopefully you have those other gears to pick it up a bit. I'm also curious with this. Like, I haven't looked at a ton of the past results or anything or times for, you know, each stage. So yeah, it'll be interesting to maybe think about like the racing aspect. I do feel like um it is a race, but it's also just like a very cool week-long running experience where maybe you don't have to focus, like maybe the competition's a little different where you're not so focused on time or the place where you are in the field and all of that. I think I do a good job of not getting too wrapped up in that, and like for me this will be like a really new exciting experience. I'll want to soak it in, so I'm not going to be like so you know, only focused on the performance results aspect of something like this. So yeah, we'll see. I'll do some research though.
I think that is kind of the cool part about the race, because like, yeah, it is a race for sure, and like people want to go out and do well and everything, but at the same time it's like, man, it's so freaking pretty the entire time, where like most people have never seen the Grand Canyon, so the fact they get to camp at the rim of the Grand Canyon and then run through the Grand Staircase and these really unique areas, it's like, how could you do something like this and not want to take pictures or just even stop for a second and enjoy the view? Because like I don't know, I love running and love running hard, but at the same time, it's like it's a beautiful spot. It's like, man, like just gotta
Right,
soak it
and
in for a moment.
you'll never be there again in that moment. So like I remind myself of that too. Like I'm not gonna get these moments back or these miles back at any point. So it's like whatever you have to do to enjoy it right now. And sometimes that's running harder. Sometimes you really want the end result goal. But this, it's like I think I probably won't go in with like such a set expectation because it'll be new. Like I don't know. I've never been out there. It's not like I can go off my previous splits or anything like that. So yeah, got to soak it in, savor the moment. I'll probably bring my own camera as well.
Add that to your pack weight, add a little bit of camera
Yeah,
weight there.
yeah, add a little more weight. Yeah.
I was thinking about soaking in the moment though, like you were saying, like kind of a cool aspect of the race is that you don't really like you can't track it on your watch, and like there's not all these like distractions, I guess. And Colin and Tess really promote that because it is kind of cool to be out there. And even when like you do have like a phone, like with myself half the time, it's like you don't really have service, so you are kind of disconnected, which is super fun because you can really just focus on spending time with people that you see at camp because you see the same 100+ people every day, and you kind of like get to know them really well, which is super fun. So are you excited for that aspect of just kind of detoxing from
Oh
this
yeah.
life?
Yeah, I think that's a unique thing. Yeah, when I learned that it was more like a digital detox at this event, I'm like, oh, okay. Challenging, but pretty cool because I think, and I like, the social media and the media coverage and the live stream stuff. I like it to an extent, but yeah, sometimes that can be overwhelming. And I think that might sometimes can put the wrong type of pressure on like why people are doing some of these events. So yeah, I think it'll be really refreshing to just forget all of that. That's not a part of this type of this event in particular. And I don't know. I got into ultra running because of people. Like I read books and everything. I was super inspired by like the people in the sport. So I'm really just looking forward to like meeting this smaller group that's gonna step up to this challenge and be together all week. So yeah, I'm sure I'll meet some real role models out there. I think it'll be a good time getting to know everybody and kind of going through the same struggle all week.
Yeah, what is the quote? Is it like misery loves company?
Yeah.
I'm not saying Grand to Grand is miserable, but when you are doing something challenging,
But yeah, you get closer faster when you're all going through something challenging like this.
yeah, definitely. And I think you make a lot of good friends out of that because you are like mutually in the same challenge and you support each other and you want to see your now friends succeed at something and then vice versa.
Yeah, and that's what's been cool about. I mean, I've only done Cocodona as the only 200, but a lot of those people do the Triple Crown and all of that, and it's like you see the same people running them, and they all know each other, and they all share their stories and different strategies that all work. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great community out at this event.
Yeah, it's interesting even like from a non-runner perspective. Like I've never ran the race before, but like the amount of people that I see at various events and just even running, like I've ran into people that have ran Grand to Grand while running in the Grand Canyon. It's like it's so random, but like people, you get to know someone really well because you spend all that time with them, and you like, not that you don't like at I say a 50K. It's like, yeah, you spend some time with somebody for a few miles or whatever, but like when you're with them like day in and day out for a week and you can see them like just progressing and whatever and like struggling, it really does bond you a lot, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I did notice that at Trans Rockies too, and I feel like for the week we had a really tight knit group. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
Definitely. So cool. We'll wrap it up here then, Sarah. It's gonna be fun to have you out there and see how your training goes over the next year, getting ready for this, and what your thoughts are afterwards.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm sure I'll be reaching out to you again to ask for some tips and stuff as we approach Grand to Grand. I know I have some other people on the list to chat with ahead of time. So yeah, looking forward to training and getting out there.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to take on a new challenge. Not that Cocodona wasn't hard, but just something different that's
something
little different. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk soon, and good luck with your training.
Thanks so much.